Ah, mateys, gather round and listen close as I spin thee a yarn about Blackheart the Bold, a fearsome pirate captain whose cunning and bravery shook the very foundations of the Spanish Empire. Our story begins on a dark and stormy night on the deck of the Sea Shadow, a sleek and swift pirate ship that cut through the waves like a phantom. At the helm stood Blackheart, a pirate captain like no other. For weeks, the Sea Shadow had been sailing the azure seas, preying on fat merchant ships laden with the riches of the New World. But fortune had recently turned its back on Blackheart and his crew, and they were in desperate need of a score to replenish their coffers. "Land ho!" cried a lookout from the crow's nest, shattering the salty silence. "There she blows, lads, a galleon rich with the spoils of the Indies." Blackheart's heart leaped in his chest, and he rushed to the railing just as a fat galleon came into view. Its sails full of wind, its hull heavy with treasure. But this was no ordinary merchant ship. It was the flagship of the Spanish Armada, guarded by soldiers loyal to the crown. Undeterred, Blackheart put his plan into action. He ordered his crew to don their finest clothes, not the usual rags and tatters of a pirate, but garments fit for gentlemen. Then, under the cover of darkness, they unfurled a banner emblazoned with a coat of arms, the symbol of the Spanish nobility. As dawn broke, the Sea Shadow approached the galleon, mimicking the stately bearing of a nobleman's vessel. When the two ships met, Blackheart, disguised as a wealthy Spaniard, boarded the galleon with a small entourage of his most trusted crew. Once inside, they feigned civility, engaging the officers in conversation, while secretly slipping past sentries, searching for the strongbox holding the ship's treasure. Suddenly, one of Blackheart's men stumbled upon a secret passage concealed behind a tapestry. "Ahoy, mateys," he whispered, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Looks like our luck has finally turned. Fortune favors the bold, and I, for one, am feeling mighty bold today." With a mischievous grin, he pulled the tapestry aside, revealing a narrow passage leading down into the ship's hold. Without wasting a moment, Blackheart and his crew slipped through the opening, finding themselves in a dimly lit chamber where sacks of gold and precious gems lay stacked to the rafters. It was every pirate's dream come true. A treasure trove more valuable than the crown jewels of England. But as Blackheart reached out to grasp a handful of glittering doubloons, a sudden commotion echoed from above. Who goes there?" boomed a voice as heavy as cannon fire. "Show yourselves, the scurvy dogs, for I have ye surrounded." Blackheart's heart pounded in his chest, and he quickly signaled his crew to stash the treasure and make their escape. They raced back the way they had come, dodging sacks of gold and jewels that threatened to slow their flight. Meanwhile, the voice grew louder, echoing through the ship's hold, as the captain of the guard and his men descended upon the chamber where the treasure had been stored. "Damn these meddling guards," Blackheart muttered, scrambling up the passageway and bursting onto the deck just as the men in black emerged from the hold, their faces etched with confusion and anger. "Seize them!" roared the guard captain, drawing his sword. These vile pirates have plundered our hold, and I'll have them hanged for their treachery." With a battle cry, Blackheart and his men fought back, swords clashing against steel and cutlasses flashing under the hot Caribbean sun. Blackheart himself dueled with the guard captain, their blades dancing in the air like serpents, their eyes locked in a fierce and furious gaze. But, despite their valiant efforts, the pirates were outnumbered and soon found themselves on the back foot. One by one, his crew fell to the ground, their dreams of treasure and freedom dying with them. Brat! And when the last man fell, Blackheart knew it was time for him to make his move. But, with a final defiant roar, he leapt onto the bowsprit, swinging on the rigging like a man possessed. The captain of the guard watched him go, his expression a mixture of triumph and disdain. "So be it, pirate scum!" he shouted, his voice ringing across the waves. "If they choose to flee, then so be it. The king's men will have their vengeance, whether this day or the next." And with that, he ordered his men to hoist the anchor and give chase. The galleon lurched forward, cutting through the crystal-clear waters like a hungry beast, determined to devour its prey. But Blackheart had already anticipated this move. With a flick of the wrist, he dropped a red-hot musket ball into the sea, sending up a thick and noxious cloud of smoke. Then, taking advantage of the confusion, he steered the sea shadow away from the galleon and into the safety of a nearby cove. Once inside the cove, Blackheart breathed a sigh of relief, knowing he had escaped the clutches of the law. He had lost many of his crew that day, but the treasure he now possessed would ensure their sacrifice was not in vain. P envisioned building a new life for himself and his remaining crew. A life free from the constant threat of capture and filled with the promise of untold riches. And so the legend of Blackheart the Bold grew, passed down through generations of would-be adventurers and notorious rogues alike. He became a symbol of daring and determination, a sheen and example of what could be achieved with a bit of luck and a whole lot of nerve. Some say he spent his fortune helping the poor and downtrodden, while others claim he continued his life of crime, terrorizing the seas and evading the long arm of the law until his dying day. But that, me hearties, is a tale for another time. Bim. For now, let us raise a tankard to Blackheart, the pirate who dared to dream big, live fast, and die free. And with that, me hearties, our adventure comes to an end. But fear not, for there are plenty more tales of swashbuckling pirates and buried treasure just waiting to be uncovered. So, if ye enjoyed this yarn, be sure to stick around for more. And who knows, maybe ye'll even learn a thing or two about the infamous pirates who once roamed the seven seas. Until then, keep an eye out for those scurvy dogs, and may fortune smile upon thee.